Fox, the cure for what ails you, if what ails you is democracy. This is technically a bonus episode, but it's actually pretty key to understanding how we got to where we are, which will be apparent by the damage assessment at the end. In the late 70s, Saturday Night Live had a game show, ¿Quién es más macho?, in which the winner identifies the most masculine celebrity. A similar game show, Who Broke America?, would have three strong contestants associated with Fox News: Roger Ailes, Rupert Murdoch, and Newt Gingrich. It's really impossible to understand the systemic degradation that's explored in some of the other episodes that made Trump's oligarchic takeover possible without understanding the role of Fox News. We noted in a previous episode that the Reagan-era elimination of anti-monopoly and the fairness doctrine and equal time rules made bloviators like Rush Limbaugh and ultimately Fox possible and profitable. Roger Ailes was a 27-year-old producer of a daytime variety show, but he talked his way into becoming Richard Nixon's TV guru for his long-shot presidential run. Remember, Nixon had arguably lost to JFK in 1960 because he looked bad on TV during the debates. Ailes tells a story about the way he got to talk to Nixon was by keeping him away from a belly dancer and her boa constrictor. Sadly, that story he made up. Ailes advised Ronald Reagan on the 1980 campaign, and he helped produce the famous Morning in America ad in 1984. In that race, Reagan lost a debate badly against Walter Mondale, seeming old and befuddled. In the crucial rematch, Ailes knew the key was a soundbite that would be repeated for free endlessly on the news. He prepped Reagan and got his soundbite.
You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
Mondale laughed, but said he knew at that moment that the race was over. Reagan's vice president, H.W. Bush, was seen as a pale version of Reagan, who dressed like a cowboy and cut brush in photo ops. So Bush, who was a Yale grad, whose family compound was near the Kennedys, wore cowboy boots and chomped on pork rinds. Here Ailes is laying the ground for Trump's pseudo-populist shtick. Later, Time magazine called Ailes the Dark Prince of negative advertising, though it was actually his protege, Larry McCarthy, who made the infamous racist but very effective Willie Horton ads in 1988 for Bush. Ailes was involved, stating, "The only question is whether we depict Willie Horton with a knife in his hand or without it." Ailes saw the emotive power of talk radio and brought Rush Limbaugh to television, and not coincidentally, brought him to the White House, where the elder Bush literally carried his bags. Rupert Murdoch hired Ailes to start Fox News in 1996. His coverage of the Monica Lewinsky scandal boosted ratings by 400%. By 2002, Fox was #1 in cable news. Fox basically became GOP state media, basing its daily coverage on the message of the day straight from the Republican National Committee. In the 2000 election, Ailes hired Bush's cousin for the Fox decision desk. The cousin admitted bias and called Florida for W based on no actual projections. And of course, in Florida, Bush's brother Jeb is governor and thus running the election. Other networks hastily followed Fox's call, and Al Gore conceded prematurely. This led to the fake Brooks Brothers riot, which stalled long enough for the Supreme Court to hand the election to W. The rise of Fox is central to the systemic degradation examined in more depth in an inconvenient sequel because of its role in the destruction of faith in objective journalism. Bush's brain, that is, his campaign manager, Karl Rove, infamously dismissed reality-based journalism, declaring reality is what we say it is. And they said that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, for example. In fact, Ailes advised Rove on PR strategy during that disastrous Gulf War. Ailes and Fox were also big boosters of the Koch-backed Tea Party, and Sean Hannity actually spoke at a Tea Party rally. Not coincidentally, Fox and Ailes were big boosters of Trump's racist birther nonsense. But to retain the veneer of being an actual news organization, Fox made promises and declared red lines about what their anchors were going to do or not do, and then routinely broke them. As we'll see in the next episode, Hannity was an advisor to Trump, interviewed him often, endorsed him, made an ad for him, and eventually actively campaigned at a rally. Ailes was fired in 2016 for sexual misconduct after being given a $40 million severance package. But he continued to advise Trump. Republicans who could not get reelected routinely auditioned for jobs in the Trump administration on Fox, endlessly pledging loyalty to the dear leader, which became central casting for Trump's reality TV second term. Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Sean Duffy, and dozens of others from Fox filled his administration, along with the billionaire donors. When Fox correctly called the Arizona race in 2020 for Biden, Trump attacked it. Its audience fled and its stock crashed. So Fox quickly did a 180 and became a major booster of the big lie that fueled January 6th. Briefly appalled by the insurrection on January 6th, Murdoch switched to backing Ron DeSantis, but came back to Trump when it was clear he was going to get the nomination. Without Fox, Trump is impossible. Fox created a filter bubble, an alternative reality in which the cult of Trump thrives. And in fact, Fox really has only two functions: to create fear of brown and black people and demonize Democrats. Both are crucial for Trump, as he can justify taking ever more power and ignoring the rule of law to defend us from Venezuelan gangsters and inner-city thugs. Not only are migrants criminals, they take jobs, housing, and government services from native citizens, or so go the repeated claims. But Trump barely won the 2024 election, getting millions fewer votes than Biden got by scaring us about the border yet again, and by promising to make America affordable again on day one. Of course, he had no plan to bring down prices aside from the tired nonsense of drill, baby, drill. In fact, Obama and Biden both had record oil production higher than the Saudis. His absurd and antiquated tariff nonsense is the biggest tax hike in half a century, and has actually boosted inflation and destabilized the U.S. economy and potentially the world's. Fox, however, characterizes Trump's chaotic tariff spasms as cunning, four-dimensional chess moves. A personal bribe in the form of a $400 million Qatari luxury jet Fox likened to our getting the Statue of Liberty from France. As to Fox's other main function, demonizing Democrats, while not claiming they were raping children in a pizza basement or taking their blood, Fox argues that Democrats are intentionally bringing in dark-skinned foreigners, trading favors for votes, also known as the Great Replacement Theory. This was once the stuff of neo-Nazi blogs, but has been mainstreamed by former Fox anchor Tucker Carlson to become a daily GOP talking point. To sum up, here's the Ailes body count. He gave us Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Bush 41, and Bush 43. He gave us Phil Gramm, who in turn gave us the Great Recession, and Russell Vought, principal architect of the Project 2025 Doge coup. In addition, Roger Ailes got Mitch McConnell elected. McConnell has packed the courts, given us the Supreme Court majority, which in turn has overturned Roe, given us presidential immunity and Citizens United. McConnell has been an implacable foe of campaign finance reform. McConnell's failure to impeach Trump led to his second term, and thus the fascist Musk-Doge coup. Incidentally, Ailes gave Newt Gingrich a job. He really pioneered the politics of polarization, which earned him his spot on Who Broke America. But the biggest overall damage is probably how Ailes has helped drive this polarization, this Earth 2 echo chamber. Facts no longer matter, only emotions matter. And that means that Trump can lie endlessly about a migrant Biden border crime wave or about global warming being a Chinese hoax, and Trump can pretend he will not cut the social safety net even as it's actually happening. All of this is only possible because of Ailes' demon spawn, Fox News.